It's your boy Jusky. I got another CEO story for you. This video is called 1024 Officer Down. You feel me? This is gonna be a crazy story. This is the first time I ever seen a staff assault. Like, ever seen it like crazy. Like, whoo, this is a good story, y'all. Y'all sit tight. I'm gonna go into detail. It's gonna be amazing. Y'all do your thing. You feel me? All right. So this day, this was when I was early in my CO career. I was a TEA, you know what I'm saying? And a TEA, you know, pretty much like a training officer, you know what I'm saying? So, shoot, fly. I was a training officer, and I was probably about 6 months in. This was around like August of 2019. I was still a TEA. I was on my way to the academy maybe like a month later. So, no, actually, no. I was on my way to academy some days later, actually, because, you know, when I first started, you had to wait like 6 months. You had to do 6 months on the compound before, you know, they put you in. Some people did 6 months, some people did like 3. You know, it just really depends on like when they want to send to you, you know what I'm saying? So me being 6 months in, I wasn't necessarily experienced, but like I understood the prison, like I understood how everything went, like, you know what I'm saying? I was comfortable, like it was easy, you know what I'm saying? Easy work, you know what I'm saying? So this happened this when I was working 2 to 10, because we was on 12 hours, A shift, B shift, C shift, D shift. And then they had swing shifts. So you had 2 to 10, 10 to 6, and 6 to 2. So I worked 10 to 2. No, I didn't. I worked 2 to 10, I'm sorry. I worked 2 to 10, and man, I was like halfway through my shift, because shift change was at 6 o'clock. Because that's when this was B shift and D shift day. So when D shift came in, I was in confinement. They always started me off like on the yard, like internal, or they put me in confinement. So this day they happened to put me in confinement. So for the first half of my shift, I was, you know, filling out the paperwork. You know, I was in a bubble, pushing buttons, you know, doing little stuff. And then for the second half, they wanted me to be internal. So I went to the top, went to the front, got my gear for internal, you know what I'm saying? Usually they made me do like the fence check and parking lot checks and all that, but they was running wreck, so they just said, hey, you got somebody doing that, just go run the wreck. So first wreck was around like, I remember the time, I remember everything. This was just so clear. This was like around 6:15, right? So when you out there doing rec as a CO, you know, some COs will just sit down and just chill at the pavilion around the inmates. They'll just sit and chill. But really, you're supposed to just bust laps, walk around, or just stand outside just so you can see everything. You know, you don't want to get ambushed, or, you know, anything can happen on the rec yard, because it's like 100 inmates out there, and then it's only like 3 or 4 COs. So, and maybe like a sergeant. So that's all you really got out there. So I was at this particular prison, and they had a lot of gates around, you know what I mean? And so we had quad 1 rec field. So just imagine like this, right? It's like a big gates around it. It's not like an open prison. Like some prisons are just wide open where it's just dorms around. And then you got a big rec yard in the back where you could just go walk to. Nah, see, I was at the annex. So this right here, we had gates everywhere, because we had PMs, which is protective management, and then we had regular inmates, you know what I mean? Also, on the other side, we had mental health. So everything was pretty much gated off into different quads. So quad 1 rec field was a big rec field, and it's gated off from each side. So for me to get out of confinement, and I make a left, and then I went straight to the rec field. So as I'm busting my first lap, I'm talking about as soon as I go, because the rec field is probably about 50 yards. So I'm pretty much walking from the top all the way around, busting a big square. So I go ahead and do my first square. Cause me back in those times, I love walking and just, running around. I was, good energy, all that. So I go ahead and bust my first lap. I have my radio. Only thing I hear is 1024. Now, when you a CEO, that's one code you do not want to hear. You do not want to hear them here say 1024. So 1024 is an officer down. So when that 1024 came on the radio, I was like, oh shoot, like everything got silent. And then they said it was in quad 2. Quad 2 is pretty much like, so I was in J-Dorm. J-Dorm is like, just say this how I set up. J-Dorm's on this side. So it's a gate you gotta get through, another gate, and then you hit K-Dorm, and then it's another gate, you hit L-Dorm, it's another gate, you hit M-Dorm. So all this happened on M-Dorm. M-Dorm, like the field. So what I did was, I heard the 1024. I said, oh shoot. And they told me where it was at. So I was at the gate, shaking the gate, calling it in, hey, pop gate. I forgot the name of the gate, 2-3 or something. Hit this gate on radio. The people in the tower are not hitting no gates. They're not popping anything. They literally, like, I don't know if they shook or they just occupied, but I'm looking up at the tower. I'm like, pop the gate, because we have a big center tower, right in the middle, that controls all the gates that's popped around. You feel me? So I'm like, pop the gate. And then it's another gate where I just left, where the confinement J-Dorm at, and then you got 5 officers right there banging on the gate, telling them, hit the gate. So they finally, after like 2 minutes, they hit the gate. They hit my gate, and after I told you it's another gate to it. So I'm back, y'all. Had to step off for a second, but continue this story. All right, so they popped my gate. It was another gate that was in front of me, and then they popped the J-Dorm gate. So they came, and then they popped the gate that I was just at, and now all 6 of us is at this one gate. So they popped that gate. Now, during this time, I was probably about like 220, maybe like 215, 220, probably about I'm about 225. I say about 225. Now I'm in shape. Like I could run. Like I used to do, cross country back in the day and shit. So like, bro, I could run. I used to wrestle, all that. Like I could run like really good. So I'm gone. Like all the other dudes, they left. Like they still at that gate. Like I'm gone already. I'm at the other gate. It's because the other gates that I told you, it's like 4 gates. The other 2 was already open, because somebody that was responding to it, they popped them open. So it's inmates everywhere, like, and they'll protect the management inmates. These ain't just regular inmates. These protect the management inmates. So we running through it. And this is probably about a 30 yards, 40 yards. It's probably about like 30 or 40. About 30 or 40 yards we had to run, right? So not long distance, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Not a short, but not a long. So I say about 40 yards, right? So we run into it, and then I see the officer on the ground. Well, the first thing I do see is the officer on the ground. He's screaming, like he's yelling, like, ah, like looking crazy, like he yelling, like I'm talking about a scream. He's screaming. So right then, as he's yelling, I'm looking at him. Like this is my scene. Like I'm still a young, TA. So this is like, so the dude, he's yelling, screaming on the ground, right? And now it's an officer. It's a sergeant. Sergeant, I ain't gonna say your name. I want to say your name because I don't like you. And you was a big dude who used to mess with inmates and used to talk crazy. And now they one of them inmates. See, what I didn't see that I got the backstory on was like how it went down was it was an officer. We're gonna call him officer. We're just gonna say officer, because I know your name too, and I don't like you either. But you had some tragedy happen to you, so ain't gonna say nothing about you. But people who was at that prison that know me know who I'm talking about. So this dude was one of those gun-ho officers, like, oh, I want to spray somebody, I want to slam somebody, I want to do some physical harm to somebody, I always want to do something. He always like putting that energy out that he want to just slam, attack an inmate, you know what I'm saying? So he, earlier that day, he said, oh man, I can't wait to spray and put my hands on the inmate. So all right, while they at rec, so he went to, so what happened was the big sergeant that I'm talking about, right? He get into it with the inmate. Now the inmate, he is, I want to say he was like a little short Hispanic inmate, but he was, you know, he was involved with another inmate, which was a transgender inmate. Now, this transgender inmate and this dude, I'm talking about, they used to get into it all the time. And when they get into it, that's when the transgender inmate want to be a man. Then I'm talking about voice get deep, all that, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? But this transgender inmate, only thing this transgender inmate did at rec time is squats. I'm talking about lunges and squats all day. I'm talking about around the rec field all day, lunges and squats, lunges, squats. I'm talking about they legs, the legs of that transgender inmate was huge. It was like 2 hams or something like that. Like huge legs, like not a weak person, you feel me? And then the Hispanic dude was just a little skinny Hispanic dude. He just one of them dudes that, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna have hell if you have to fight him, you know what I'm saying? So I had to give you a little backstory on them, right? So when the sergeant, he came up to him, you know what I'm saying, because they was arguing. They always was arguing. Most of the time, officers, we were just like, man, they just gonna argue, like, just let them argue. But that dude, he was one of them gun-ho sergeants, you know what I'm saying? He one of the ones that just wanna, now, was he even a sergeant at this time? No, he was an officer, but he ended up making sergeant probably a few weeks after he got back. I think they gave him that sergeant, you feel me? Because they felt bad for him. Oh, or was he a sergeant? It was one of them. Like, I know he eventually became a sergeant and then a lieutenant, but that's besides the point. But the dude getting into it, telling them to stop and, you know, all that, and the dude like, get out my face, like, don't get in my face. And he like, the dude just stepping in his face. Man, that Hispanic dude hit that dude with hit him with a nice little 10-piece. I'm talking about a 10-piece to a sergeant. Dropped him. And now this dude, the sergeant, he big. Now he about 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", about at least 400 pounds. I'm talking about a straight fat. You feel me? Like, these COs need to be in shape. You feel me? If you're not in shape, like, bro, like, you useless. You ain't gonna be able to help nobody. Like, I seen this dude run for emergency traffic one time. He was at J-Dorm. He was basically 50 feet away from the incident. Now, he's the first one to respond. Me, I am about 100 feet away. I ran straight past him and was the first one to. This dude ran so fucking slow. Like, you wonder why, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't trust or depend on somebody like that if they can't run or if they not in no type of shape. So, Buddy gave him a nice little smooth 10-piece, bopped him up. That's when they called it 10-24. I'm talking about his face was bleeding. Like, I'm talking about, because it's a white dude. It's a big white dude with glasses, you feel me? Glasses gone. I'm talking about his whole face looked like somebody just threw a whole can of tomato sauce all over his face and his shirt. He got a nice little 10-piece and a biscuit with some red beans and rice. You feel me? He got it all, you feel me? So the dude I was telling you about who was screaming in pain, he responded to it, you feel me? And as he responded to it, he slammed the Hispanic dude. But, you know, the dude got he got a significant other in prison with him, you feel me? And I told you, the individual did squats and lunges all the time. So, you know what I'm saying, while he dealing with him, he gets up and tries to face the individual. The dude, that's so, I'm trying to be, because it's a transgender inmate. So he confronts the transgender inmate. The transgender inmate kicks him, one kick now, donkey kicks him right in the knee. Boom! Dropped him. Dropped him with one kick. Just one kick, dropped him. You feel me? So the sergeant who got that 10-piece, he gets up, runs after him with spray. I'm talking about spraying everybody. Anybody who close by him, he's spraying them. You know what I'm saying? He ain't aiming that spray good at all. That spray going everywhere. So I'm watching it. So as I come up, I'm seeing Buddy on the ground. And I see him spraying everybody. Like, just spray. And then another officer, he was at a gate. He was at the gate at back support. I know his name too. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say his name. But he in the back gate. The dude running around the field trying to get away from the spray. And he ran straight to this dude. Boom! I'm talking about he get tackled so hard. The Hispanic dude get tackled. Well, no, actually no. The transgender inmate get tackled. Boom! Like, hard. Now the dude that tackled him, now this dude about 6'6", about 300, but he in shape though. He is in shape 6'6". You know what I'm saying? So slam him, boom. You know what I'm saying? They get him in handcuffs. They get the Hispanic dude in handcuffs. And everybody, it's still like 50, 60 inmates on the field. So they lay everybody down. You feel me? Like, everybody lay down, lay down. You feel me? So they grabbed the Hispanic dude up, grabbed the transgender inmate up. They walking them down to medical, because, you know, you got to go to medical, get you a post-use of force physical, and then you go to confinement. So while they going through all that, I'm down with the officer. He's still screaming, like, in pain. Like, so we got to get him on a stretcher. Like, so we all, like, it's 4 of us around. It's a captain. What captain was it? It was a captain, though. I forgot the captain name. It was a captain. It was me. It was 3 nurses and, 2 nurses and captain, me, 2 nurses, and another officer. It was a sergeant, by the way. So we pick him up, like, just picking him up and put him on that stretcher. Man, that dude was screaming. His leg was like, now I didn't know it at the time, like, the incident, but his knee was broken in like 3-4 places. Like, the dude kicked him so hard, broke his knee, shattered his whole knee up. You know what I'm saying? So he told me to go get the camera. Like, you gotta record everything, you know what I'm saying, for, like, you know, they just want you to record stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I run to the center gate, grab the camera, come back, you know what I'm saying? I'm recording everything. They want me, I'm pretty much the cameraman, like, just recording the incident, you know, making sure everything, you know, is on camera, because they want you to have everything on camera. So I'm recording everything. So we walk in the medical. This dude is screaming so hard. I'm talking about, like, it really sounded like he's dying. And I know he was in hella pain, because he ain't had no medicine, nothing. And your knee just shattered in 3 places. Your knee is gone. Like, your knee is smashed up. You just got kicked by a transgender inmate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say you can't underestimate nobody. Like, that transgender inmate really just did squats and lunges all day. Like, that dude was strong, you feel me? So, whew, man, it was just like an eye-opener. Like, to that point, like, I never seen no staff assaults. I seen, like, uses of force and all that, but it was always one-sided. It was always the officers on the inmates, you know what I mean? Like, officers getting the upper hand every time. So, like, it's just pretty much like, that was my thought of how everything usually go. So, man, when I seen that, it really, like, opened my eyes, and it's just, like, made me think, like, man, I could really die. Like, I really could be hurt. Like, I could be in position where this dude is at. And that's how we need to start thinking as COs. Like, well, I'm not CO no more, but, like, with certain COs, like, you know, you think it's sweet, you in the same dorm, you know what I'm saying? You might have a rapport with the inmates. You know, they don't give you no issues, no problems. But you never know. Somebody's mom could die. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, anything could happen where you could get attacked. You know what I mean? So you gotta keep your head on the swivel and you gotta be on point at all times because you never know when you could get attacked. Like I got plenty of other stories of me getting attacked, which I will share with y'all, you know what I'm saying, on the next episode. But this is just one of them ones that's just like, dog, like anything can happen. So, you know, do all my recording and all that. They bring the warden even come out, and this is at night. You know, the warden, they leave at like 5, and like they just left like an hour or something ago. Man, the warden get called from home. The captain, I mean the colonels, like all the top people there. You know what I'm saying? This dude got to get ambulance to the hospital. Like he done. He done. Like he can't even walk. His knee is shattered. So the inmates, right? Now this is a side of the CO stories that you know, as a CO, you know stuff go on, but you don't. Most of them don't talk about it. It's like a little code. Like people don't be talking about what be going on for real. Me, I'm gonna give you the real. You feel me? Cause shit, I don't got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? I ain't do it. So you know what I mean? So a little backstory of what happened after all this happened, right? One of the officers that was in the dorm with me, he told me, he was like, man, when we got that dude and we got him from medical, and so what they did was they got him from medical and then they brought him back to J-Dorm. See, J-Dorm is a confinement, it's a butterfly dorm. So it's certain little spots, like once you walk in to the left, all right, it's like, all right, as soon as you walk into the dorm, to your right is holding cells. It's like a little medical little place, then holding cells. To your left, it's like a sergeant office. Then it's a little gate. You get through the gate, and then to the left is quad 1, quad 2. To the right is quad 4 and quad 3. And in the middle that's where the bubble is. That's where the officers go to, like, you know, if you're in a bubble, pressing the buttons, opening all the cells. So they got them in like a little blind spot, because you know, like if you attack an officer, like, you know, you probably gonna get your behind whooped. Like they go get you. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say who did it. I know who did it. I know all the details, but I'm not gonna put them out. You feel me? But it was a captain. You feel me? I don't even want to say the gender, but we're gonna say it, which was a captain. Man, they put dude on that. Man, they slammed dude on the ground. The Hispanic dude, man, it grabbed they radio and hit dude straight in the head, bopped him, boom. And then, you know what I'm saying, they put him in a cell. And then when he went, because they automatically, it's a mercy transfer. Once somebody attack an officer, they supposed to be on that bus. I'm talking about within a few hours or that night, they gon', you feel me, by like 8 o'clock, they was out of there. You feel me? This happened at like 6. Like I said, it happened at about 6:18, something like that. I try to remember everything. It happened around that time, right? So it happened around that time, and man, they was gone by like 8:30 before it got dark, because this was around like the summer, so it really got dark around like 8:30, like somewhere around there. Like this was before count, because we had to extend count and all that because all this was going on. So I'll probably say count time, it usually be around 7:30, but it probably happened around like 8. So let's say about 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, they was gone. They was on that bus. They was out of there. But, you know, on the low, they put that call in like, hey, this one hit our officer. So word was, when they got to the new camp, I ain't gonna say which camp it was, man, they took them other officers took care of them too, you feel me? So they walk around with the pumpkin head, you know what I'm saying? they walk around with their top pop, you feel me? But you know what I'm saying? But it's just like crazy. Like that was like the most craziest thing that happened to me before like I went to the academy. So it's just like like I said, it opened my eyes, because you never know like what'll happen. Like anything can happen to you. So be safe. You know, if you're a CEO, be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. You know what I'm saying? Do not be too close to these inmates, because you never know, they could get you. If somebody put some money on your head, best believe they gonna get that money. and they gonna get you. They don't care if they like you or not. They gonna get that money. They do not care. You feel me? These inmates don't care nothing about you. They will sell you out. They will say anything just to get you, you know what I'm saying, get you knocked off. They do not care. You know what I'm saying? So just be aware, you know, this is just that crazy story, you feel me? And, you know, pretty much I say after all that happened, the dude, he ended up being out for a whole year and about a year and a half, he was gone. Like, we didn't see, and he came back walking with a cane. He had to do what we call light duty. He did light duty for about 4 or 5 months, and then eventually they let him back on a compound. So it was damn near almost, 2 years before he even came back, like, on a compound. And when he came back to the compound, he was still talking stupid. But he didn't have a cane at this point when he came back to the compound. He was walking. Like, he still had a little limp, but he was still walking. He still came back stupid, like talking like he ain't just get your leg broke. And I had to work in the dorm with this dude. This dude, man, working with officers like that put your life in danger. You feel me? So just be aware of everybody you work with, people you around. This is my story. Hopefully y'all enjoy this. This was kind of long, but man, it was interesting. It just was crazy. Like, I had to give you every detail. So, you know what I'm saying? Y'all like, share, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Share the story. You know, I'm out.